Happy Saturday. I'm going to run through some dyno tuning stuff, why we do what we do when it comes to tuning Harley Davidsons. To me, this looks back to front, but I know it's not. Harley Davidson dyno tuning. The book 0344084959. Here's our big banger V-twin. So I'll go through this the best I can with what I've got. I probably should have this on a tripod and everything else. However, let's give it a whirl. I want to talk about what lean state is in air fuel ratio and rich state. Keeping in mind, people go, my bike, it starts, it stops, it does what it's meant to do, and it performs well. I guarantee it can perform better than what it is, unless it has been professionally tuned to what that motorcycle is, to its application for cam, pipe, intake, manifold, injectors, compression ratio, blah, 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 blah. So what I'll start off with first is, when we're going to be running on a lean state, and what I need to do is, I'm just going to put an injector in here. We've got a spark plug at the top, obviously a cylinder. We'll call this one front, R for rear. Now what happens is, in tuning, our injector disperses out fuel through the air intake system. Obviously we've got air coming in, and this all mixes together. If we've only got so much fuel on cylinder fill and the rest is air, we're going to be running lean. And lean being is, we don't have enough fuel mixing in with our air, right? So we have a ratio we work off with so many parts air to so many parts fuel. Lean means not enough fuel, too much air. So when we're coming up for our compression stroke, upbound, and we're compressing all the gas and all the air, we haven't got enough fuel in here with that air as a ratio, which obviously isn't, because you've got to understand, our fuel is a cooling component, as well as obviously a fire, a discharge and everything else that goes on in the cycle of an engine. But if we don't have enough, we've got way too much air everywhere, not enough fuel, we're running lean. Hot cylinder temps or hot engine temps, lack of performance, obviously. What else can I say? Diesel, there's a lot of backfiring and carrying on as well. Heat is one of the biggest ones, lack of performance. We don't want to fall into detonation areas and stuff like that. So say we're lean on the front, right? So we've only got so much fuel coming out, but way too many parts of air to work in as a configuration to how much fuel we've actually had come in that moment through that cycle. Let's go to the rear cylinder, right? Now we'll put our injector in here and say that this has put in so much fuel, right? We've got our air coming in from our intake, and then we've got heaps and heaps and heaps of fuel. That air is going to create a volume of mass of only so much, but we've got all this fuel going on. So what's going to happen? We are going to run into a rich state. Too much fuel. What's the characteristics? Obviously black smoke is one of them. If you notice your boys getting around, they belt on the throttle and there's a heap of black soot coming out the exhaust, we're too rich. Now, having too much fuel on our compression stroke when we're going up to create a bang, a lot of fuel that isn't actually burnt can surpass the rings and fall down in your bottom end, making your oil turn black from contamination a lot quicker after service intervals. That is a big thing as well. If we're running too rich, we are going to see an overrule of things. One, contamination of oil. Two, it could actually glaze the cylinders as well. I'm going quite deep into this in one hit, but anyway. But what we want to do is not have all that fuel. Right, we're going to see our fuel economy be a little bit snotty. Don't get me wrong, the way we can set these up, our fuel is a cooling component due to being an air-cooled engine. It's not liquid-cooled. It's not operative via thermostat and regulation of a cooling fan and stuff like that with what a lot of cars and obviously jet bikes and all that sort of stuff have. But our goal as a tuner is to deliver the right amount of fuel, the right amount of air for what we're trying to achieve, whether we're going through a roll-on throttle state, a cruise state, so sitting at 100 for a period of time, we have to go in and identify to get not only that rear cylinder corrected, but the front one needs to be as well. So what we want to do is, I haven't got a bloody, let's just say, right, we want to meet, we want, say when our piston's coming up and say we're halfway up our stroke. We want to know that we've got a mixture, and I'll just say this as an identifier, right? Say with our air coming in, our fuel coming out, we want a 50-50, right? So say up the guts here, this is all fuel, this is all air. Hypothetically, I'm only throwing this out there to give you guys a basic instinct of this stuff. But say it's 50-50, well, we need to do the same on the front. So air coming in, fuel coming in, we want to try and achieve a 50-50, so to speak, right? It's in lethargic terms. So guys, you've got to understand, when we're going through tuning your bike at different throttle positions and different RPM, we're seeing an indifference of either too much fuel coming in, not enough air, too much air, not enough fuel. And then as we're going further through our rev range, it can alter because the computer is telling it, we need this much fuel at this period of time, at this throttle position, at this RPM. So the goal is to even it all out. Now, when we're on the money, when we say we're belting down the road, you know, we're gone from cruise state and we've given it a hit and we've gone to 50% throttle, we're chasing a 13.0 AFR. Okay, so we're going to be delivering certain amounts of fuel and air calculated through your tune to target an area where that engine is optimal on performance. Cruise state, we can run at cruise state marginally leaner, so we can have more air coming in with a little bit less fuel because you are just stagnant. You're on the throttle at an idle position or a standstill position in your twist grip, you're cruising. So we can allow that. But if you're belting on and off it and we have these fluctuations of air-fuel ratios, that's not going to work because the delivery that we need at that given time when you're cracking the throttle, we need to know that that engine is optimal performance in those areas whilst you're doing so. So there's structuring in your fuel tables when we tune to make sure the bike is operational in the correct manner and we've got the correct ratios regardless. This is quite a shit show now, but regardless, we're feeding the amount of air through the throttle position, obviously opening the throttle body, but we're telling the computer, the ECM, we need to fire so much for a period of time of whatever it is of fuel in at the given moment to get it in its best performance range. And I'll say performance also, when we're cruise state, right, we are running marginally leaner, but the thing is, because you are just sitting on that throttle, we need to feed it the right amount. Like I said, this is a air-cooled V-twin engine. Our fuel is a component that helps us cool the engine through the amount of, obviously the capacity of fuel that's coming in. That's a part of your cooling component. So we've got to make it operative for cracking the throttle or steady state when we're just cruising. Then when we get it on, it shifts again. We have to calculate the whole picture to work together. Now the thing is, if a cylinder's not adequate and it's running really lean or rich, you're not optimizing your performance because the cylinders are fighting against one another. They are indifferent through the tune. We have to calculate and bring these together in best operational manner, behaviour, cooling componentry, economical. There's a lot that goes on with it. So please realise when we're tuning, and what you've got right now, that's just been dumped in there. Okay, so that could have come from America, your tune. It's put in Australia, our fuel's different. Not only our fuel, our altitude, there's a lot of indifferences between the two. We set them up so you're on the money all the time, regardless of where you are, cruise, throttle on, roll on, overtaking, uphill, belting out of a corner, down the drag strip. We need to know we are running efficiency front and rear for these guys to work together, not against one another. And this is why dyno tuning is absolutely paramount for your Harley. because this is what we do. We go through the whole lot in every throttle position that we can, that we're allowed to go in and work with your tune, and RPM. So say you're sitting on 60 at 7% throttle and just cruising, fourth gear, probably doing about, I don't know, 1850 RPM. Then an 80k zone sign comes up, you go past it, you crack it on, you're about 25, and you're heightening in RPM, obviously over that period of time of distance. We need to know that whatever it's doing is working in that moment the best it can for your performance. I cannot say it enough. I hope that makes sense. I've even done my own head with it because I need to break this down and show you guys. Dyno tuning is absolutely paramount for your motorcycle. Pipe upgrade, intake, air cleaner, cams, big bore, compression. The same stuff comes around typically in the same range of motion of what we're doing here and what we're trying to achieve. It's your performance. You're lacking it right now, and I guarantee it.